All right, our board meeting will come to order. Ms. Gore, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Conley?
Present.
Dr. Biot?
Present.
Mr. Benjamin?
Present.
Mr. Dunn?
Present.
Ms. Barnes?
Present.
Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Barnes.
Yay.
Talk about you in a minute.
Yeah.
If you will all stand for the pledge, and for a moment of silence, I'm going to ask our mayor, Mike Wisman, to lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Gore, any citizens' comments? Thank you. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve.
Motion by Dr. Viot.
Second.
Second by Ms. Conley. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, and the motion passes. We'll move on to reports. First, Chairman's report. I don't have a whole lot to report today. It is good to have Ms. Barnes in her first board meeting with us.
Thank you. I'm so gracious.
Glad to have you on, Ms. Barnes. Excited to look forward to working with you for sure. I appreciate the way you've already jumped in and jumping in the deep end. It's been the deep end the whole time. So appreciate the way you're doing that for sure.
Thank you.
Dr. Clark, I will just say some words about you. I appreciate the way that you have you hit the ground running for sure, and it has been. It's been honestly very good to watch you in this role and watch you operate in a very difficult situation, very difficult circumstances. And I appreciate the way you stepped in and led and encouraged and did lots of things for our teachers and administrators. And so I really appreciate you a lot. So thank you.
I appreciate all of you because you've been very supportive in this transition.
Yeah.
I do.
Good, good. Lots of things going on in our schools. I just would, I sent you guys some things. My encouragement for each of you is finding that time to get out and get in and see that. Our principals have talked about being welcoming to each of you. Don't dominate their time for sure. They got plenty of other things to do, right? Our principals. But we do want you to get out and just kind of see what's happening, see all the good things that are happening in all of our schools. So touch base with our principals when you want to go by and do that. That concludes my report. Move on to superintendent's report.
Yes. I would just like to express my sincere appreciation for just everyone in this district. We've had continued efforts of a smooth transition to the start of this school year, and I've been fortunate enough over the past few weeks to visit some of the schools and see a lot of the innovative and creative activities that students are having the opportunity and being engaged in. And I just want to note that I recognize and I understand they have these wonderful, engaging activities, but the amount of hours that teachers have to spend and support staff planning and preparing and gathering everything for that, it takes a lot of time. And they're spending a lot of time to have that one fabulous event that the students can embrace and take away for quite some time. In that, those unique learning experiences are very valuable. And so to our district leaders, as well as our school leaders and teachers and support staff, I do express my sincere appreciation that. I also recognize in some of those activities that teachers have shared that our PTA as well as our parents, contribute and give supplies for those activities. So that's greatly appreciated. We had a fantastic 5K, which that's part of the proceeds go Arlington Education Foundation. That foundation continues to support our schools. Then additionally, we had Sunday's homecoming carnival. We had a great turnout. It was very warm that day, but it still was a great turnout. And as you mentioned, Mr. Benjamin, and I will continue, and I'm going to really embrace that. I know you have a lot of busy things on your schedule, but I'm going to send you updates and reminders and have a system in place so that you can plan accordingly and ahead for different types of upcoming events to be a part of that. And yesterday, I sent out the lunches, so I hope that you might have seen that email. And
I've
that's
already
our
chosen my lunch,
quarterly.
Dr. Clark.
Oh, I am so proud of you, Mr. Benjamin. We'll check you off the list. Where might that be? At Arlington Elementary School?
I'm actually going to Arlington Middle School.
Oh.
See?
So did you sign up for 2 lunches and try to be sneaky?
I did not do that. But that's a great idea.
Great idea? Okay. So we will have our quarterly appreciation lunches for our employees. I know how much they enjoy that lunch where you don't have to pack your lunch that day. So we want to make sure that you all, if you can, please be present and do that. And then Mr. Hill will be sharing another fun upcoming event, our Track or Treat. So he'll share some details on that. So I just want to express my appreciation again and thank you for being part of the A team and your unwavering support. And then I will see, HR has no report. Academics, Mr. Goforth.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Clark. I just have a few things to share from academics this evening, just to put on your map so you know. This year is a science textbook adoption year, so we will be going through the process of adopting new science textbooks for K-12. And the first step in that process, of course, is to select teachers, administrators, and supervisors to be on that committee. So at the October meeting, Dr. Clark will be bringing the committee to you all to approve to review and approve, as you have to do that per policy. So just know the science textbook adoption will start taking place this year. She will be bringing to you the committee to review and approve, hopefully at the next board meeting in October. Next thing, just so you know, we have lots of tutoring going on across this district, especially at the elementary level. As you know, tutoring is required for those kids in 3rd grade because of that 3rd grade retention law. So at the end of the day, when all of those students had done retakes and gone to summer camp, we had 14 students who sort of got caught in that law. So those students were promoted on to 4th grade through a promotional pathway. Those students are being tutored this year. So there's 14 students that are in 4th grade that are being tutored. There's lots of layers there. Some of those students have to show adequate growth on TCAP at the end of the year. Some of those students scored 50% on the Ames Web spring assessment. If they did, they don't have to show adequate growth on TCAP. So there's a lot of little cohorts. So just so you know, we have 14 students in 4th grade on a promotional pathway. The state also added now that if you retain a student in K through 2, those students have to be tutored. So now we're tutoring K2 students as well. Another layer of that, as you may know, the state has also added in where parents have more involvement in K2 and deciding if a student is retained. So beginning this year, there will be parental input into that decision as well. How that looks, we don't know all the details, but the state is working through that currently as I speak. So just letting you know, lots of tutoring is going on at the elementary schools. And a special shout out to Ms. Cockner for her great work. And you all know we have great people, but she is a master of keeping up with those kids and where they are and the cohorts they should be in, and if they get 30 minutes of tutoring or an hour of tutoring and what grade, and they got adequate growth, but she went to summer camp, he didn't, she gets to all that so and so. So shout outs to Ms. Cottner for her great work, but lots of tutoring going on. Last thing, if you just want to mark on your calendars, and I'm sure Dr. Clark will be updating you and keeping you posted in the future, we do have 2 dates for Lead Arlington. I believe this is our 10th year for Lead Arlington, and that will be October the 25th, and that will be hosted by the town and chamber. And then on February the 20th, 2025, that will be hosted by the school district. And you all are always welcome at Lead Arlington, of course. And also, it's very important to remember our Collegiate Academy kids. That's a requirement to be in the Collegiate Academy. So I always say a great reason to show up is to support our kids here in the district. So again, that's all I have from academics. Any questions?
I did have a question, Mr. Goforth. That K2, when did that come down? Did I miss that, or is that?
So I believe,
how
Ms.
roughly
Speakman,
did-
this is the first year for that.
Okay.
And the way we understand that is that what we currently understand, let me say, because
That's
it will
fair.
change probably
fair.
next week, but if, on our end from the school district, if we can show that the student, is challenged academically, other means, then we would probably have more weight to retain a student, but we have to virtually prove that to the parent to let them know that there are, I guess, heavily weighted reasons to retain the child. And really, that's kind of what we always have done before. We do a great job in working with the parents, but I do know that our parents will be more involved probably in the decision-making. And again, honestly, you all know we already do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Our elementary, especially elementary schools, they're always on top of it. But that is new this year, where parents do have a say in that decision.
One other question along those lines that bleeds over to the third grade. If we retain a student in K2 and we have someone that's not progressing in third grade, in the third grade, would that prevent them from being held back in third grade if they were retained in K2?
So my understanding is you can only retain a student once.
Right.
Correct? Yes.
Right.
So retain a student once. So in fact, our elementary schools, a lot of times we do that because we know it benefits a student usually more at kindergarten, first grade for those foundational skills. That way, when you do get to third grade, you're not caught up underneath all of the pathways. So,
Right. Right, okay.
So do you get an auto exemption for the third grade retention law?
I guess you can get an auto exemption.
Just curious, because that was their most recent law they
Right.
passed, so.
Yeah, so anyway, but like I said, we're working through it. We're making it work for our kids, as
Good.
always.
Appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Accountability and Student Services, Ms. Dennis. Okay. Finance, Ms. Sappensley. General Counsel, Ms. Speakman. Operations, Mr. Ruff.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Clark. Been a second since I've given an update. I thought I'd kind of bring you guys up to speed as usual. We've just been kind of sitting around waiting for things to come in. So the awnings at Donaldson and Arlington Elementary have been completed. We got those that was on our CIP plan. The classroom split for Donaldson has been completed. The air and the visitor side for track has been completed. So I don't think that was on the CIP, but we've taken care of that.
What was that last one?
The air on the visitor side for the track.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. We're working on currently looking at 3 additional units. This is gonna be some fall break plans that we're kind of looking for. I get a little ambitious on fall break. Sometimes I can get them all completed, sometimes I can't. 3 units for the high school that'll be upstairs. We've got the majority of those units that working. Now we're working on the AON units, the ones that control the bathrooms and the outside air coming in and everything. So we're gonna work on those. The AC for the indoor practice facility, we're currently at a little bit of a hold with light, gas, and water. But we have the units in place, we're getting ready to move forward on that, so hopefully that'll be completed over fall break. We're also looking to rework the air and replace the units at the football locker room. I mean, all of this is done with some of the ESSER money that we were afforded, so that way we'd be able to complete these projects much faster than we normally would have. We're working on the cafeteria upgrades at the high school, that was on the CIP plan. We are also looking at 15 additional units at AES. We've had all the units replaced at AES except for the 400 hall. That was done much later. And so those units are now it's time for those guys to be replaced. Then also we're looking to prepare for the softball field house based on you guys, approving that this evening. And then we're trying to finalize the plans for the new football locker room. So we're also working on directional signage for the high school. I thought I might bring that in as well. And we're gonna do the entryways to all the fields. All of that's currently in works. I'll try to give you guys a timeline as soon as I can finalize some quotes and things like that. So, thank you guys. Any questions? Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay. Communications, Mr. Hill.
Good evening, board members. So the first part of my report tonight, actually, I'm just going to have a brief introduction, and I'm going to turn it over to someone else to speak. But as you know, we have an internship program here at ACS that is routed through my office communications. This is our third year for this program. This year, we expanded to 2 interns, and because of your investment, we actually pay them as well. We also route it through work-based learning. So not only are they coming over here during the school day, getting that hands-on experience and getting paid, they're also getting that work-based learning credit. And depending on which class they're enrolled in, it could actually be dual enrollment. So that's just another added benefit that they could be getting dual enrollment credit at the university, high school level, and then everything I just talked about for the internship as well. So this year we have 2 interns. Noah Sershin, he's one of our returning interns. He was with me as a junior, and now he's with me as a senior. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight, and so taking the lead for both of them is our newest intern, Grayson Brandt. He is a senior, and Grayson, these are the guys who pay you, so I'm going to turn it over to you so you can thank them. Now, I'm going to let him come up and just so he can introduce himself and then tell you a little bit about what he's been able to do during the internship this first quarter. So, Grayson.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Clark. My name's Grayson Brandt. I'm a senior at Arlington, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity. I first and foremost just want to thank you for allowing me to have this position and do what I do. It's a dream to be able to do jobs like this, to be able to come in and work along Tyler with the resources that he has, and just to be able to come in here and come alongside him is just so awesome. So I just thank you just for the opportunity to do that. It's really a blessing. This year, Noah and I really look forward to helping, but also learning from Tyler and what he's got to offer for us. It's really a blessing that I get to come under I get to come under Tyler's wings and learn all of the years of experience that he has, and be able to look forward to putting that potentially into what I want to do after I graduate high school. So just some specifics. Noah is really looking at being a journalist. So Tyler has tailored our little tasks of what we want to do when we graduate to what we're currently doing. So Noah's really working with experiences and stories happening around the ACS campuses and capturing those, and so that way our parents at home can see what's going on. Tyler's really got me working with sports. I'm really interested in doing sports marketing whenever I graduate high school. So it's really been awesome to be able to have the resources and to adopt the knowledge that Tyler has to offer, and apply that to potentially do that after I graduate. I'm just so thankful for everything that y'all have done, all the efforts that y'all have put in to allow us to do this. It's genuinely a dream. I mean, I've always wanted to do stuff like this, and it's a very demanding job. I mean, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of resources and money and knowledge, and Mr. Hill has all of that for us because of y'all. So genuinely, thank you so much, and I really look forward to working and learning this year. Awesome. You have any questions?
You need to introduce your parents to us.
My parents are sitting on the back row, so these are my parents, my mom and dad. Yeah.
Grayson, I do have a question. Where are you thinking about going to college?
So my dream school is Auburn University. That's War Eagle, baby. Yes, sir.
I noticed that a lot lately.
Yes. I'm probably going to end up at Tennessee University or potentially Mississippi State.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about.
Auburn's really expensive, so I don't.
Hey, he's clearly done his research on this board. That's all I'm going to say about that.
So, another reason I'm thankful for this internship is because it'll help me get into where I want to go to school. So that's probably my most thankful thing about this is it's really going to make me stand out amongst the other students.
Well, you did a great job presenting yourself to us as well.
This is
That's great.
incredibly difficult to stand up and talk. It is very difficult.
So you did a great job.
Awesome.
Proud
Grayson.
parents, you should be.
Grayson,
how are you learning to incorporate this job in with your academic work?
It's been difficult. So especially, really any job is really difficult to balance, but with jobs like this, it really looks like hours of editing. I mean, there's been projects where I've spent 8 to 10 hours just staring at a computer, putting work in, but I think the biggest thing for me is just better time management. I think something I've just learned within a month of this internship specifically is my workflow and my time management skills. So the better I organize myself and my time, I'm able to get schoolwork done at school in the classes when I'm not doing things. So I'm able to come edit here, or sometimes I have to edit at home. So, yes, ma'am.
So
One
one,
job.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
No.
One last question. So I know you're just getting started, but do you see anything in what you're doing now that the board could help you with, maybe expanding this project, maybe even taking on a third intern? Is there equipment you need? Is there things that we can do to help you that you can see right now?
Fortunately, I'm really gracious for what we have. There hasn't been a single time to where I've had a project or something I had to tackle that I didn't have the resources for. So I think that's been one of the best benefits of being able to work here, especially at the high school. When we're doing projects, there's certain scenarios where there's something that I've wanted to do but not necessarily have the resources for, just because it's really high demand and it gets expensive. So fortunately right now I don't, and that's part of the blessing of being able to work here, and I'm really thankful for that.
Well, if you do, will you come back and talk to us?
Yes, sir, of course.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Great.
Awesome. Any more questions? Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler, for what you're doing to lead that up and to teach them, and you're doing a great job with that, so thank you for that.
have a lot to offer them, so.
You do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's, at kind of what he mentioned, video, photography, it's a lot of work. What Grayson does and what Noah do is, we discuss story ideas, and thankfully there's a lot of good stories happening in ACS. But we discuss those story ideas, we kind of brainstorm what that storyboard should be, what should the vision for this particular project be. And then he goes out and he has to film it. So he's on the ground with all this equipment, filming it, and then he has to bring it back. So just filming is one part, and that's where I think what he really talked about is that editing piece. I don't think some people realize how much editing actually takes. Because, if you shoot a 14-minute interview, that's 14 minutes back at the office that you're just rewatching it, but then you have to edit it. And so that editing time really does stack up over time. So, they're able to help me tell the stories throughout ACS, and that's what I'm, very fortunate about. And I do have to give credit actually to the high school and the media program over there, because all 3 interns that I've had have been routed through, or they've grown up through that media TV arts program over at the high school. So those teachers have trained them in many ways before they even reach to my office. So that's huge there. The fact that Grayson, for example, was able to come in day one and pick up the camera and go and start filming. And so that has something to say about the program we have at the high school. One other thing that I'll just touch on that's been really cool, particularly this year since it's our first time to have 2 interns, Grayson mentioned it, he and Noah want to have different futures. They want to take different paths. Noah is more on that traditional broadcast journalism route, which is what I went through, which is a much different form of storytelling than what Grayson wants to do, which is more centered around hype and highlights and that sort of thing, so not as much written work. So that differentiating how we train them has been interesting this year. Noah, I will not let you use ChatGPT, because you can't use ChatGPT when you go to WMC. They're going to say that's unethical. Meanwhile, I'm training Grayson. Here is how you can use ChatGPT to enhance that workflow. So it is different, but it's fun being able to work with those 2 different types of students based on what they want to do after high school. So thank you for the investment you've made in this program, because it does require not only the payment, the hourly wage that we pay them, but equipment is expensive. And when you expand this kind of program, we all 3 may be out on a shoot. So that means 3 cameras, 3 different microphones, all these sets of batteries. So thank you for the investment that you've made in this program and my office. So any other questions about the program before I move on? Okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk about tonight is the Legacy Grant Fund. So just to recap kind of what the Legacy Grant Program is, we are in year 2 of our Legacy Grant Program. It is a $500,000 program that you've invested in that allows us to fund clubs and organizations, sports teams, and other classroom needs across the district. It has to be specifically tied to the portrait of an ACS graduate. So they have to show us in their application process how is this going to benefit a student activity. We also go through what kind of access to funds they have. So do you have a booster club attached? Do you have a school account? Because we want to make sure that we're being equitable with those funds. So one thing I want to do a little differently this year is every month kind of give you a report, and you can get this anytime from me, but here at the board meeting, just so we are making it public how these funds are being used, to give you a report of all of the legacy grants that we have approved to date. So to date, which is just in about 1.5 rounds, because some groups needed it earlier, than waiting to the end of August. So we've done 2 rounds so far. We have approved a little over $139,000 in grants. Last year, the program was new, so we were doing a lot of education about what this program is, what it can fund, what it can't fund. So I think more people, principals included, they have a grasp on, okay, this sort of thing is perfect for the legacy grant. So just to run through the list, we have helped fund supplies and equipment for the AMS girls soccer team. We have a speech therapist at Donaldson Elementary who needed some classroom items specifically for that type of speech therapy, allowing them to get that hands-on activity in that kind of special education environment. So we were able to fund something there. Model UN, Mark McDonald actually came and spoke last year at the end of the year talking about how much that helped Model UN and youth in government. If you'll recall, they were able to, send 4 or 5 students in past years. Thanks to the Legacy Grant, they were able to send like 33 kids to both of those conferences thanks to the grant they got from the Legacy Grant. So they once again wanted to apply, and we approved that, and that's going to help fund or at least offset some of the costs for 2 conferences for Model UN this year. AHS Student Council is probably the largest organization at the high school. They have a lot of different things that they do here in the state, here in the region, but also nationally. And so we gave them a grant to help fund some of these initiatives. AHS Theater, they wanted to, they're going to be attending the Thespian Conference and Workshop. So that's the other thing, again, particularly on this one, is that we make them in their application process show how it's going to be a hands-on, interactive and engaging learning opportunity. We don't just want passive learning, we want that active learning. And so that's one of the things here for the AHS Theater. AHS Media Arts Department, they're going to be going to the Tennessee High School Press Association workshop at the U of M. The Arlington Middle School, they're starting a kindness club, so these are startup fees for a new club there. Film Appreciation Society, we approved a grant for equipment needs for their antique cameras. They use like these really old, cool film cameras, but that has some upkeep and some cost to buy that kind of film. And then also a field trip to a private screening at the Malco. So again, kind of very Film Appreciation Society related. HOSA, they do blood drives every year, which is great because, you've heard the news, they're always in need of blood, and so we have a big blood drive at the high school, but they wanted to offer some incentives to students to get them out to donate blood. So that is one thing that we did. AMS Spy Games, you've maybe seen, and we're going to be doing a video soon about their Spy Games initiative. But this is a way to kind of bring that recess-like environment, that kind of fun brain break environment to the middle school. And so they have a lot of different things going on. So that's going to be really cool to see, but they use some funds to purchase that initiative. Morning Support Group at Arlington Middle School. This is a newer club to support students who are grieving, either lost parents, lost family members, friends, that sort of thing, just to support them there in the morning. Arlington Elementary starting a puppet club. We're excited to see this. It's going to be led by Dr. Marvin. So if you want to enhance your puppet skills, go join the AES Puppet Club. So that's a new fun for them.
Can I get a Scott Benjamin puppet?
Oh, Scott Benjamin, can you put that on the list? A Scott Benjamin puppet. AES Student Council, we did some funds to support their various needs. Arlington Middle School, they're doing this in their ELA, so English Language Arts, but they're also starting a podcast club, so we are creating like a podcast lab, which is pretty cool because that helps with public speaking, it helps with editing, it helps with idea formulation, writing, all sorts of things. So that's going to be really cool to see how that helps in there. Board Game Club, new club at Arlington Middle School. They are creating a lot of clubs to give kids opportunities this year, so that's great to see. Board game, so Monopoly and Clue and all that, yeah. Fifth grade AES, sending them on a hands-on interactive field trip to Discovery Park. We used some funds to help support the Homecoming Carnival this past Sunday, which was a great turnout. We used the bulk of those funds, or the most of those funds, for the games, the inflatables, to give that free event for the community. But we also plug in clubs and organizations, the student council, so it's also kind of a give back service project for them. We are purchasing some new set of instruments for band. AMS STEM and Science, we're purchasing them like an interactive planetarium dome, which is going to help a lot with a lot of their standards and different projects they have going on. And we're also sending the preschool kids at Donaldson on a field trip. And you know, the preschool is special education preschool, but also with some typical peer students. And so that's going to be a really good kind of interactive hands-on trip for that population of student as well. So you add all that up and that's $139,000. So it's a lot of different things that we're able to touch in just that first round. Dr. Clark and I are about to go through our second round. We do approve these at the end of every month through basically April, because we have to have those funds spent by a certain date. So that is a legacy grant overview. Anytime you want these like specific numbers, the specifics of this, just let me know and I can send you this document, because it also includes some pending, we're waiting on some more information, and also some denials, which haven't been many this year. The ones that we have denied this year are academic related. They were so academic related, we felt like that was best to route through the academics department more than the legacy grant. So those are some of the reasons why we would have had a denial. But any questions about legacy grant?
That's a lot for $139,000.
Seems like a lot.
It's a
I
lot.
mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
We try to spread the funds as much as possible. So some of these, their request was larger, but then we looked at their school account or we looked at their booster and said, hey, you have funds here that are just sitting here. They need to be used on students. And so what we'll do is we'll approve it for this, and then you need to use your remaining or existing funds on that. So that's one way we're able to spread these dollars as far as we can.
Yeah, that's good.
So, any other legacy questions? Okay. The last thing is, Dr. Clark hinted at it, upcoming event, hope to see you there in costume this year. Our third annual Track or Treat. It's Friday, October 25th, movie night. It's going to be Beetlejuice. So nice. Track or Treat starts at 5:45. It goes till about 6:45, 7. Movie starts at 7, and then goes obviously until the end of the movie. So hope you can come out and join us. Any questions?
Awesome.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Oh, back to work, Scott.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Clark. We'll move to our legislative liaison, Mr. Dunn.
Yes. So we like good news.
We do.
And this is not great news yet, but I'm hopeful we're on the path to that. You guys probably remember in our last board meeting on August 27th that we passed a resolution. And it was focused on just TCA 49-3-103. And the gist of this, and I had to go back and refresh my memory, is that in the TISA funding model, there's a gap there. And primarily the gap is around our special education students and the resources. So in my investigating this and looking into it, one of the things I wanted to understand a little bit better is how would that affect us personally as a district here at Arlington. And so Mr. Goforth was kind enough to provide some of the information for me, and the grand total really is around 1.1 million is what it would mean to our district. For 6 classrooms, roughly about 181,000 per classroom for these students and their peers. So here's the update I'll share with you, that on September the 6th, Representative Mark White and Governor Lee's Representative John DeBerry visited one of Germantown School District's preschool programs, and there were others there from Lakeland School District as well. And it was a very eye-opening experience for them. They, putting boots on the ground, seeing this in action, they saw that there's a need here and how important this is. So they were hopeful afterwards, and our friends in the other municipalities in those districts were hopeful that the visit, coupled with all of our advocacy, because we're doing this, but all the others are as well, that we're going to be able to help move the needle and push them, that when they gather back together the Tennessee General Assembly, that they will amend that particular law. So that's, I think that's pretty good news. And I'll just mention this quote by one of our friends at the other district. This superintendent said, "We are committed to advocating for our preschool students with disabilities. It's crucial they receive the necessary support and resources for their education." And I know all of us would agree here, and Dr. Clark. So we're all on the same team. We're trying to get this done, and I feel like the ball is moving down the field, which is good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's great input.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
That's all I have for
Okay.
tonight.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll move on to consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Dr. Biox,
Second.
second by Mr. Dunn. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes. We'll move on to business recommended items. 7A, Dr. Clark.
Yes, I recommend that the board approves item 7A. That's the award, the RFQ for construction manager at risk for the Arlington High School softball fieldhouse addition to Chris Woods Construction, and to approve the contract for the same in the amount of $1,475,000 and contingency of $50,000.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Dunn,
Second.
second by Dr. Viox. Any discussion? You want to share any information, any additional information we might need to know about that, Dr. Clark?
I do have some books that I'll be sharing with you that give the details and the projects of the plan. The facility is projected to be finished, we asked for March 1, and it'll be projected, there'll be some fine touches on that, so we hope final completion is March the 14th, right there around spring break. It's, the square footage on it is 3,675 square foot. And in those books that I will provide with you, they have detailed plans and the projection timeline and the progress of that project.
Yeah, it's much needed.
Well, it is needed for sure, and of course, for those that aren't familiar, we've done business with Chris Woods. They've been very good partners for us, and we appreciate their work.
Yep.
They've done a really good job for us.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. This will be a great thing. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes. Dr. Clark, 7B.
Yes, I recommend the board approve 7B for the iPad refresh for grades 1st, 5th, and 9th grades, and high school teachers utilizing the ESSER 3.0 funds in the amount of $750,000. So this is something that we
Hang on one second.
already.
Let me put the motion on the floor.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Thought- yeah.
You've heard the motion. Do you have a motion to approve?
I move that we
A motion by Ms. Conley,
Second.
second by Dr. Viox. Any discussion? Dr. Clark?
In case, would you like any additional information?
Yes, ma'am, please.
So we had already planned, as we do accordingly, do an iPad refresh. We have it on a schedule for that. And so we had planned to spend those funds in May of 2025. With the ESSER funds that we were, given, that we were able to utilize those funds for the iPad refresh and go ahead and do that at this time. So those funds can be spent in other areas to support students.
Yeah, that's a nice chunk of change to be able to use for that, for sure. Any other questions for Dr. Clark? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, the motion passes. We will move on to 7C, which I will take, the approval of superintendent's contract. So do I have a motion to, approval of superintendent's contract, that's all we got on there. So do I have a motion to approve superintendent's contract?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to
Motion-
approve the superintendent contract.
Motion by Dr. Viox. Second by Mr. Dunn. Any discussion? I'll begin this discussion as I've spent a lot of time with Dr. Clark. We have talked about a lot of different things in her contract. And so we have worked through it over the last week or so and come to an agreement that the board is very happy about, and I believe Dr. Clark is as well. And so it is my recommendation, obviously, that we approve the contract. Do you guys have any questions? We've talked about this, or you've been sent some information around the contract is what's happened. Any other discussion around that? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There is no opposition. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Congratulations, Dr. Clark.
Yes,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, excited
I
about this.
appreciate all of you and your support. It does mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
So great job.
Very excited about this.
Thank you. I am too.
There's only a few days left with the temporary tag on now, right?
Does she, now that we approved it, can she shed the temporary tag?
Not yet. She has to keep the temporary tag until the end of the month. I'll just say it just for the record that anytime you're in an election year, when you elect a new school board, anybody new on the school board, there's a 60-day window where you can hire a temporary superintendent. If you change superintendents, like we were in the place to do, they can only serve for 60 days from the end of the election, or from election day. And so that ends at the end of the month, and so Dr. Clark's new contract will begin on October 1st.
Correct.
Yes, so she will still be technically temporary superintendent through the 30th, and then on the 1st, she will become the permanent superintendent according to her contract.
Thank you.
Yeah, very excited about that.
Very blessed.
Yeah, awesome. Thankful for you. All right, we will move on to board election. 7D is the election of chairman. And so I will open the floor for nominations for the election of the chairman.
Nominate Scott Benjamin.
Amen. No, just kidding, sorry.
Actually, I think we need to just hold our roles for a while.
Right, yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I 100% agree with Ms. Conley, and I've sat up here and said, and I've told you personally several times that I'm trying to remember to speak into the mic. I was told I have to speak into the mic, so I really think that a lot of things that you've been able to do and accomplish, only you could have done. You're the right person in that role for that time, and I've said well done in the past, and I would just love to see, and from Ms. Barnes to really learn from the best. So I 100% would like you to stay.
That's very kind. I'll accept your nomination.
Yeah, and I'll just add quickly, I mean, it's an echo of what Dale said, but it's been a tough time for everyone. But your willingness to take time, which none of us really have extra, and to invest it in this district, and to be there to support Dr. Clark, as well as the other leaders in this district, as well as just navigating through these waters that none of us have ever been through anything like this, even as a pastor.
Right.
I mean, this is very different and unique, but you did a really good job, and very much so appreciate you.
Appreciate that.
Agreed. The amount of hours is staggering, so.
Appreciate that. All right, so I guess all in favor.
Any other nominations? And
Are there any other nominations?
No, there's not.
You nominated, did you kind of second yourself in that one?
He did say
But
amen,
I
which
did
is,
say amen. Is that a second?
that's sort of executive privilege.
All right, so you have to figure out how we do this now. So you've heard
Yeah, we'll just roll call vote, isn't that?
yeah,
isn't that
that's
right?
true.
Ms.
How about
Speaker?
we'll roll call vote?
Is that,
Do we have to have a second to this? I don't know. I do need a second.
I thought we
So
had
we
a
I'll
have-
second it
Yeah,
for him.
for sure.
Yeah, you don't have to do it for yourself.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second for me to continue to serve as chairman. We'll do a roll call vote. I'm a score.
Ms. Conley,
Yes, for Scott Benjamin.
Dr. Viock,
Scott Benjamin.
Mr. Dunn,
Scott Benjamin.
Ms. Barnes,
Scott Benjamin.
He actually gets a vote.
Mr. Benjamin.
Yes. All right, so the yeses have it, the ayes have it, the motion passes. I will continue to serve as chairman. We'll move on to 7E, election of vice chairman. Do I have a motion to, or do I have a nomination for vice chairman?
I would agree with Ms. Conley that we would leave the second chair and vice chair with Dr. Viox.
Okay.
That'd be my nomination.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I would agree with that. I appreciate you and your support through this. You've done this for a long time, and I appreciate the way that you supported me in this seat for sure. And I'm thankful to have you sitting in this seat.
You're very kind. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Be an honor.
Yeah. All right, all those in favor of Dr. Viox serving as vice chair again this year, say aye. I will do a roll call vote. Sorry, I'm in my own world up here, celebrating my victory. I'm just kidding.
Dale
I will do a roll call vote.
Wow, already went.
We're almost done.
Dale Viox.
Mr. Benjamin,
Dale Viox.
Mr. Dunn,
Dr. Del Viox.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yes.
Barnes,
Dr. Dale Viox.
You guys are silly.
Dr. Viox,
Sure.
All right, yes. The unanimous vote, the ayes have it, and Dr. Viox will serve as our vice chair. We move on to 7F, the election of the legislative liaison. And so do I have a motion for someone to serve as a legislative liaison?
Jonathan has done a bang-up job, and to Ms. Conley's point, he's embraced this role, and I've said for the last almost 11 years, it is literally one of the most important things that we do to advocate for this district, and he's done a phenomenal job, and I'd love to see him continue.
I would agree, and I'll second that for sure. I think you have been the most I don't think, you have been the most thorough person in this seat that's served in this role.
I concur.
Yep.
And I've served in that,
Yes, I
role.
did too early on. I did too once, and so I appreciate your digging in, because that's who you are, and I appreciate that person that you are. That you want to find the facts, and you want to understand the facts really well, and you don't just regurgitate information to us. You actually bring us helpful, thoughtful, thought out information to the board, so that we can actually make really informed decisions. So I'm very thankful for you in doing
Thank
that. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll do it.
Yes, all right, he's accepted. So he has accepted his nomination. We'll do a roll call vote for his nomination. Ms. Gore.
Ms. Conley,
Jonathan Dunn.
Dr. Viox,
Jonathan Dunn.
Mr. Benjamin,
Reverend Jonathan Dunn.
Look at that, there we go.
Ms. Barnes,
Don't do it.
Jonathan Dunn. I was gonna say pastor.
Yeah, I'll do it. Jonathan Dunn.
Yes, it's a unanimous decision. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Mr. Dunn will serve as our legislative liaison for this upcoming year. Is there anything else, board, that you can think of we need to cover tonight? Dr. Clark?
No, sir.
Okay, awesome. With that, then, we are adjourned. Thank you for being here.